Call the Select Board meeting and public hearing of Monday, June 23rd, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. On the public hearing, we have a new business license for Sweet Roller located at 7 Lakeview Drive. Anybody here wishing to speak for or against that item? Any questions from the board? Moving on, number 2, a liquor license for Freedom Cafe located at 923 Roosevelt Trail. Anybody speak for that one?
Denied.
Number 3, entertainment permit also for Freedom Cafe. Any questions? Anyone want to speak? Seeing none. Outdoor entertainment permit application for Mountain View Woody's Classic Boat Club of Maine, held at the Naples Town Dock and the Causeway on August 9th, rain date of August 10th. Anybody want to speak for that? This is a repeat application. They do it every year. Any questions? Moving on. We'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colin Brackett cannot attend tonight, so he will be absent. Before we review the meeting minutes, I don't have to remind anybody, but I like to. As we know, it's very hot today and going to be for the next couple of days, so remember to check on the elderly and make sure your pets have plenty of water. Review of meeting minutes from June 9th, 2025. Need a
Make a motion to accept the minutes of June 9th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any corrections, errors, omissions? All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Town managers report.
Okay, so I got a list of some of the projects we're working on. We have a lot of them, and we need to try to close some of these. One is the proposed rec center, then there's the Village Green project, there's the RFID project for the transfer station. I'll give an update on that. The fiber optics project, the Kent's Landing project, Eads Fall Dam. There's both some well issues there that we need to resolve, and then also the landscaping. Destiny Lane, there's a cistern project there for the storage of water for the fire department. Fairway Drive, or Brandy Crossing as it's known, they also have a cistern project there. And there's also a water drainage issue. It's going to require ditching and other work. Sebago Cove's estate, there's a fire pond project there. The town office has both some exterior and interior maintenance that needs to be done. Same thing for the historical building. There's the pickleball court cleaning and painting projects. Obviously, there's ditching projects going on in town, will be for most of the summer. There's some 4th of July prep work being done, and the AC is out at the substation, and that'll be replaced on Friday. So lots of projects. Update on the rec center. Jim Gratello hosted the working group at his facility in Portland, and for those of you who've never seen it, it's very impressive, and it's essentially what's being proposed. So Jim's knowledge will be incalculable as we move forward on the project. I mean, the guy should know all that A to Z, all the costs and everything, so I'm pretty excited about that. And we've updated our cost estimate worksheet to include subject matter experts for all significant focus areas, so site work, septic, building, and we've started reaching out to those people. Sebago Technics, reached out to them regarding the proposed site, and there's a guy named Bill Garish who actually lives in Naples, who got assigned to the project, and so I sent him the PowerPoint presentation Jason did, minus some of the funding and cost estimates, and he's looking at that, and he's going to get back to us. So that's probably the most important potential vendor to talk to on that right now. And just to let you know, the pre-project budget was roughly $40,000, $25,000 to come from the ball field septic designs, and $15,000 from the ice rink covering. Then we have the RFID project at the transfer station. That continues to be problematic. They're telling me on some days they have as much as a 50% failure rate across the scales. So I reached out to Kevin Woodbury of Woodbury Consulting, who's our IT guy. He's agreed to work on that. He says it's all within the scope of the contract that we have with him, which is great. I think, from what I can tell from Kevin, he'll move the needle on that. The Village Green project, did hear back from the vendor. There's roughly $30,000 still available for work out there, outside of the discussion that you guys had, I think, 2 meetings ago. The gazebo itself needs deck repairs. It needs new soffit boards all the way around. The reason the paint is peeling is because the wood underneath it's wet and rotted. And then the railings need some work. And so we've had a contractor take a look at that. He's giving us some estimates. It'll be a timing issue whether he does it or Steve and his team does it. Lawn, I reached out to Mark Clement, and he's agreed to come in and talk to us about it. He's not interested in actually doing the work. It doesn't align with what he's doing right now, but he's more than happy to share his expertise with us. So that'll be good. Fiber optics, I met with Sebago Fiber and GP Cog on that, and to have them fill me in on what the history of the project was and kind of what the current state is. It was very informative. A lot of information was shared. And our legal team has gotten a copy of the contract back to us, and I forward that on to Sebago Fiber for their review. And unless somebody feels differently, I plan on running a financial report on Sebago Fiber. I started asking them questions, kind of like what we would have done where I used to work regarding their financial health, and because they're private, they don't provide any information. But we're going to be writing a pretty big check, so I'd like to find out how they're rated. I just think that that's the responsible thing to do. I don't expect anything, but I think it's small money just to make sure nothing's there. And the budget on that is a total of $273K, with 146 coming from TIF, 75 from a GO-PIF grant, which is from the governor's office, and then there was supposed to be roughly 53,000 from the unassigned fund balance. And so far, we haven't spent anything except on the legal fees. Kent's Landing, we got the proposal today. They call it the 60% proposal. And just to give you initial numbers, it's 1.285 million before contingencies, and with the recommended 20% contingencies, it's 1.542. So it's a big nugget. I'll share that stuff with you guys. Then we need to do some work on the town office and the historical buildings. We walked around with a contractor and looked at things. He's working on a quote. So that's it for projects. Clerk's office, Michelle attended the school board meeting on the 16th at the high school where they voted on a land purchase, and she was there to register the voters from Naples. She's working on a 30-day tax notice. And Steve also found a filing cabinet with cemetery conveyance deeds, and she's in the process of alphabetizing them so they can scan them and get them on the town's shared drive. And the team's also working on updating the fee schedule for FY26, and we'll give that to you for your approval. Finance on the HR side, Pat's been reviewing the retirement plan with the town attorney, and we'll be coming to you with a recommended change. It's mandated in the contract that it's mandatory participation, but we've been administering it as voluntary, so we just want to change the policy so it's voluntary. And then we've also been looking at health insurance, and we're going to propose a switch from Harvard Pilgrim to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. And the reason why is the cost plans are going up, and with Anthem, we can hold the line on the cost without decreasing benefits. So that's good. The FY24 financial audit is nearing completion. I think I have a phone call with them tomorrow. And code enforcement, Kathy has a list of ordinances that the ORC would like to look at, but she wants to review it with you first to make sure they're not working on things you're not interested in. So kind of prioritize a list type of thing. Recreation, what do I want to say about that? The recreation has completed their training for the summer camp program, and so that starts. Maintenance, they're working on ditching on the Songo Lock Road. They're gonna finish getting the flags down all the way to the causeway. That's supposed to happen this week. And starting to do the bids for winter sand, heating and transportation fuels, and paving. Fire department, they had a problem with one of the engines, and they're still able to keep it in service, but there's some future repairs that need to be done. And I don't know if you guys have seen the MMA Maine Town and City magazine. Naples fire truck's right on the front cover. They interviewed Justin for an article in there, so it's a pretty nice looking picture. Marine safety, all the boats are in service. And let me see, wanted to let you know that our insurance premium is going to go up by 13%. They're telling us it's going to be $81,753. And I met with Phil Allen from Chalmers. Next year, we need to review what the building values are. They have this building valued at $2 million, and our insurance is replacement costs, and there's no way you could replace this building for $2 million. So our coverage amounts aren't quite right. So I've talked to John O'Donnell and asked them if they can update the value of all the municipal buildings so we can at least have that number to look at. And then finally, Father Fest. Just congratulations to that team. They did a wonderful job putting it together and getting the word out. And it seemed like every available space on the green in Kent's Landing had something for everyone to do. Just fantastic job. And I walked around several times, and all I saw was smiles on everybody's faces. And I even talked to people on the food truck, and they didn't know what to expect when they got here, and they were very happy. They did a lot of business that day. And I wanted to thank the town's maintenance team. They brought up some equipment, and Josh Boggs and John Horn were helping all the kids up and down and stuff, and so the optics were really good for the town on that. They really seemed to be having a good time. And then also the fire and EMS team, they had one of the rescue units there for the kids to touch, and it was just a wonderful day for Naples. And then Jason DiTucci pulled his application for the planning board, so you shouldn't have to talk about that tonight. Okay?
Anything for the manager from the board?
No.
I have a couple things. Colin, as I said, could not make it tonight, but he did run an idea by me, and I like the idea. He would like to see us carry over the funds from the selectmen's account, and it will be something that Randy can come back to us at the next meeting with a number, but he'd like to see us do a fireworks show again in the fall, like we have a couple of times in the past, but it went off very well, and he'd like to see us put our money towards that. So that can be a discussion on the agenda for the next meeting, and if you, at that meeting, Randy, if you know what that number was, that would be helpful. In the past years, the select board traditionally has only met once during the months of July and August. And I'm going to ask if the board is still wanting to do that. And if so, there's a couple of things that we need to do to make that happen. So if we did it, our meeting would be July 14th. And I had the August date in my mind, but I forgot. And August 18th. I'm sorry, July 14th and August 11th, if we want to do just one meeting. Because traditionally, it's been a little bit slow in the summertime. We don't get a lot of attendance. It's usually warm. People want to do other things. At the same time, it doesn't mean that if something came up that absolutely had to be discussed, we could have that second meeting. But you guys in favor of that, or do you want to continue with 2 meetings? I'm sure Arlene's good with
I'm in
one.
favor, but
No, I think we're all in favor, but I
Yeah.
think we also all feel like we should at least see each other's faces and if something's come up, but.
If
like
something
you
comes
said-
up, I agree, Kevin, but if it's pretty slow, there's no reason we couldn't do one agenda.
Like you said, if something comes up, we could call a meeting.
Yeah. Let's try to do it in one though. I can think of that we need to talk about would be the conditional license that we did for Smokin' Jays. There is some new information on that, but I'm okay with extending that conditional license until our next meeting, if that's okay with the board.
Can we talk about what that is so we can have that on our minds for the next meeting?
Sure, Randy has some information that he can share.
Yeah, I think, actually, I should have brought it.
Basically back in 2022, the Board of Selectmen voted for no outdoor entertainment at that facility.
It was a planning board, Ted.
The planning board voted?
Planning board voted.
I thought the select board voted under a recommendation from the planning board.
No,
Okay.
not from the notes I read.
Okay. But, so we did do a conditional. It's only been 2 weeks. They have 2 more weeks because we gave them 30 days. But I don't know, we can either vote and end it tonight, I guess, but we did do a 30-day. I'm okay with giving them their full 30 days or extending it until the next meeting, whatever you guys want to do.
So it went in front of the planning board for that particular business, or it went in that lot? Was that during the discussion for the rezoning that went into that? That discussion came up that the planning board?
That's what it was. Yeah, planning board doesn't have authority over entertainment licenses for several years now.
I was quite sure it was the select board that
I-
voted at the time. This 30-day conditional, entertainment inside, outside, or just
It's both,
for both?
the conditional license.
I-
I'll do whatever you guys want. It really doesn't matter to me.
But we can't, well, so you
I just
can't.
didn't want to cut them short because we gave them a 30 day.
Right,
You
we
know?
can't, we just can't override. If
Yeah.
it was, if we need to have further discussion, if the select board made that decision, then we need to have further discussion and revisit it, because it was a cart that was hooked to a different horse, you know?
Yeah.
If it was
Yeah.
in regards to the rezoning to completely commercial from residential, and it had nothing to do with just grandfathered use or whatever. I mean, maybe it's just a further discussion to have, I guess.
So would it be wise of us to extend that license until our next meeting, the 30-day conditional, till our next meeting, and Randy bring us all the facts that was voted on in 2022?
Yeah, that's probably our best bet, right?
Is that good? I'd just assume somebody make a motion for that. So we're all on the same page, instead of just doing it.
Just a motion to uphold our 30-day conditional entertainment permit until our next meeting for discussion.
July
Further
14th.
discussion. July 14th.
And make sure the owners are invited here, so they have the same information.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. That's 2 of the things. When I spoke earlier about the heat for check on your elderly and your pets, I want to make sure that's extended to our employees too. You know, you said they were ditching down on Sawmill School Road. I've done the work. I know what it's like. So just make sure they're staying hydrated or out of the
Yep.
sun and heat. It's only a couple more days, but it was hot today.
Find something for them to do inside.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up, we're gonna get to public participation, trust me, but I'm trying to cover this on the town manager report. There's been a lot of talk that residents of Naples have said to me. So I think it's important that we at least acknowledge and maybe send this idea to the ORC, but we really should have some kind of an attendance policy for our committees. You know, somebody wants to sign up, fill out the paperwork, get elected to a board, they really should show up. And it doesn't have to be 100% attendance, none of us can do that, but a reasonable number to look at. You know, can you attend 60% of the meetings, or whatever that number's gonna be, but I really think it's time for a policy on that. I didn't sign up for this job because I was gonna show up once a year, you know? I think it's important. And, you know, I watch planning board meetings on TV, and they're lucky if there's 3 people, maybe 4 people there, you know, and they should be attending. And, you know, if somebody's on vacation, they're away, they can't attend, I get that. But to just not show up repeatedly 6, 7, 8 months in a row.
What would help for sure, boards and committees, if you were called out on it, it might get you to show up to the next one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
even if nothing else, it will like light the fire under there.
Yeah. So just something on the radar, if we can look in the future at something that would require them to show up.
So are you looking for us to draft something and give it to you?
Yeah, I'd like to see that,
All right, we'll do.
something reasonable, you know, like I say, it's not 100% attendance, I get that. I mean, I go away on a vacation too, but I think I've missed 2 meetings since I've been here. Kathy?
I don't know, I've never read the other committees, like bylaws, but in the Parks and Land Use and also in the Cemetery Committee, you can only miss, I think, 2 meetings without approval from the chair. So it may be worth just looking to see what they have and enforcing it. Because I know we have a gentleman on our Parks and Land Use who's rarely comes, but he's sort of well-known, and it's kind of a tricky, you know, subject to raise with him. So, but it's, you know, I take the responsibility that we haven't followed our rules. And so it just might be something to work into before you have another set of laws. I mean, there may be something already that just requires enforcement. Thanks.
Thank you.
Martina.
Martina, yep.
Yeah, thanks Kathy for bringing that up. I know the ORC does have in their bylaws a statement that talks about attendance. So I'm getting the feeling that all the voluntary boards probably have something on there, so then now I'm just left with wondering, can the ORC even legally make a policy or an ordinance about elected positions? I don't know. I would ask before the ORC gets that charge, that maybe somebody check with MMA, because I always was under the impression that was kind of a charter issue. In a perfect world, the voters
Yeah.
voted in positions that the voters should be making these decisions, but so I don't know. I guess that's my big thing. I don't know if we could make, and ORC doesn't usually write policy, we write ordinances, so
I was just looking for a group that would draft up something for us that we could look at, and
Yeah.
maybe we can just,
I mean, I see, I certainly get your point.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, the voters are paying attention to who shows up and doesn't show up. But anyway,
Kathy's right.
Thanks.
So Martina, like it's in a lot of the
if it's already
policies
there, then,
and bylaws and policies, so it's a matter of digging through each, you know,
sure.
committee and plan and board, see
Yep.
what it is, and highlighting it,
Yep.
encouraging whoever the chair is to enforce it.
Yep. Just worth looking at. And now, well, is Amy attending our meeting, or is just her picture up there? What's going on?
No, I think she attended. I let her in.
She what?
I let her into the Zoom. So
You did?
That's her, yeah.
Do we know which one she's on for? Because we can move things around if she's waiting for us.
That's where we're at, right? Adjusting the agenda?
Comprehensive plan.
That's what she's for?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Well, we got public participation there.
Yeah, let's do public participation, and then we can move things around if you want. I'll open it up now for public participation. Anybody here? Great, moving on. So,
Plan.
we can move quickly on the next items. With no adjustments to the agenda, I need a motion for 6A, B, C, and D to approve licenses.
I make a motion to approve A, B, C, and D, assuming that the new business has their own home occupation permit from code.
Yeah,
With
I
that?
checked with code.
Okay.
Great.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve them all as a block. Any questions, comments?
Just, again, what is that sweat roll?
It's a mobile sauna.
It's, sorry, my name's Jared Pucci, I'm the resident in the owner at 7 Lakeview, and Sweat
Can you
Roll,
come,
it's...
can you
Yeah,
come up,
yeah.
please, because
Yeah.
the people on the TV can't hear you.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, plug it too, yeah.
Yeah, so my name's Jared Pucci, I'm the resident at 7 Lakeview. Sweat Rolla is the business that I'm trying to propose here. I was at the Father's Day Fest, which was awesome last week. It is a mobile sauna, so I'm actually not having any customers at the residence. It would be a drop-off at the renter's residence. So I might not even need a license. I had no idea what the process was to at least be legit for the Father's Fest, and then obviously I started the LLC and got my insurance certification and whatnot. Thank you, Katrina, for the correspondence there. But it is a mobile sauna rental, so it's drop off.
It was basically parked in your yard overnight and moved on to the next site the next day, or?
Yeah. And then I would be more than happy to participate in any of the rec center activities that you guys end up doing, or if over the winter or in the fall, if we want to have like a sauna and cold plunge activity here, like I would love to do that. So I will do whatever I can to be an active member in the community as well.
Great.
Provide health benefits to the residents of Naples.
Probably not real busy for the next couple of days.
Yeah. The cold, it comes with a cold plunge too. So I had the cold plunge, set up today, which was great. But no interest in the sauna right now. It's going to be mainly for fall and winter, rentals and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Daryl, you're in business for another year.
Thank you.
We have nothing under old business. Under new business, one item that we have not taken care of yet is we need to vote to have Brandy Lassad sworn in as the town manager.
This is your last chance.
Well,
Well, I guess it's not your last chance.
A motion and a second would be great.
a motion to swear in Randy Lassard.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 4-0.
You're not getting out that easy.
Under other business, we move to the comprehensive plan update. And that's where Amy will chime in, I believe.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I do have a brief presentation to share. Just sent the request if I can share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
If you could expand
Great.
it. There you go. Perfect.
Great. So good evening, Carrie Willett with Barry Dunn. We have been assisting the town with the comprehensive plan process. So we're just here to give you an update on where we are. So I have a brief presentation. We'll go over where we are in the process, some highlights from the inventory and analysis that was done over the winter, what we have done for community engagement, and where we're headed in the next few months. So this, it's been a while since we spoke to this group, but this looks about the same as it did the last time, or with some minor adjustments, but still overall looking to complete the project next March 2026. We completed the inventory analysis phase, which was collecting and reviewing background information and putting all of that into a report, and that was completed in February. We are working on edits to that based on feedback from staff and the comprehensive plan committee and others. Just wrapping up a very busy public engagement process and visioning with the comprehensive plan committee. There will still be other opportunities for participation, but we're doing a lot of that participation from November through this month, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. And just getting into phase 3, so developing policies and strategies that will reflect the vision of the town, and that will be the plan. Phase 4 is putting that all together into a final document. You can see that it's a pretty lengthy phase, in part because there is a lot of time for review from the public, as well as the committee, this body, and others as well. So just some highlights from what we found through the inventory and analysis. This is a lot of information, but go over this briefly. A lot of what we've seen trends for population demographics are aligned with what's happening in the state and region, and in some cases nationally as well. So the aging population and a shrinking youth population. Naples is older than a lot of other communities in the county, with more than a third of the population over age 60. Population is not expected to grow in the next 10 to 20 years based on the most recent projections, although there are a lot of other factors that go into that. So that's something that we'll be talking about in the next phase of the project, because a lot of that will be influenced by what comes out of the plan and how the town approaches growth management and development. So along with an aging population, the household size has decreased, and there are quite a few single-person households, so about 48% are single-person households. And that is where we're seeing some challenges with the housing inventory not aligning with what households look like. Most of the town's housing are single-family homes, and we have much smaller household sizes now. So, and 39% of homes are for seasonal use. So that's a big percentage of the town's housing stock that are used primarily as second homes or vacation homes. And then related to that, the top industries in Naples are generally lower paying jobs in food service and retail, related to the growth of the tourism industry in the town. And so Naples has really done better and had stronger job growth since the pandemic, compared to the state and the region, as more people have come to the town to use the lakes, and especially in the summer. But looking at what those jobs are and how the town can provide housing or support housing development that meets those folks' needs is something we'll be looking more into. For water and natural resources, overall, the town's lakes and ponds have excellent water quality. But as you look at this map, you can see that there are some potential threats to those water bodies and natural areas as a result of development, as development continues to spread out. And so consideration for how to protect those areas and the water quality. There are several areas, especially areas where there's newer development, that are abutting or overlapping with critical natural resources, so wetlands, habitat areas, and so kind of looking further at how rural areas, what the development potential of those are, and what the growth management strategies will be for the future will be a big part of the next phase of the plan. There's still significant areas of undeveloped land, and most of that is forested. So a lot of area that could be protected or handled differently depending on what the town wants to see in those areas. So for infrastructure and fiscal capacity, not a significant amount of growth in population. There's been growth in demand for more indoor and outdoor programming, and we heard a lot about needs for more facility space to accommodate those programs. There's also concerns about congestion on Route 302 and wanting to continue to see improvements to pedestrian circulation and safety in that area. Of course, one of the biggest challenges will be as costs continue to rise for everything from salaries to materials and general operations, that maintaining the current level of service for all of the municipal services that you provide is going to continue to increase, and so how to address that without raising taxes, it will be a concern. And then related to that, there's a need for long-term capital planning with some facilities needing repair and upcoming vehicle replacement and other larger projects that the town may want to do and has been discussing, thinking about planning for those for the long term, 5 or 10 years out. Growth and development. Commercial growth has been pretty limited in the past 10 years. This map shows new development based on building permit data from 2015 to 2024. You can see outlined in blue with the orange and black stripes, those are the handful of parcels that had new commercial development on them. And then these in yellow with the red outline are new residential parcels. So the residential growth has been almost entirely single-family homes and really spread out throughout the town, and not following what the last plan's growth areas were as identified in that plan. The lack of public water and wastewater infrastructure is certainly a challenge to having more concentrated growth in the village district, and there's concern, as mentioned previously, about encroachment into environmentally sensitive areas and what that continued development of undeveloped land will do to surface water quality as well as other natural areas and critical habitat areas. So for community engagement, we started with a survey public survey that was opened back in November and closed in January. There were 562 responses from that, so that's a really great response rate. We've had much larger communities that had fewer responses, so the committee did a really great job of spreading the word and getting people to take the survey and participate and be excited about this process. We also held 2 focus group meetings with community leaders, and one in March with nonprofit organizations and community groups, and one in April with the business community. Both I thought were really well attended, and we had some great conversations, as some of you know who were there. The purpose of those was to get different perspectives and what we might hear from residents, so people who are working with maybe underrepresented communities or the business community who might not be residents but have own businesses and have an interest in the future of the town. The committee has done quite a bit of outreach at community events, just in more informally spreading the word about the process and opportunities to participate. They did that through the holiday events in December, handing out postcards with information about the survey, so people could take the survey when they had time. And then most recently at the Father Fest event. So the picture to the right is a activity about where the town should invest more, getting some feedback from the community through that. And from what I heard, that was really well received and good responses from the community. We also, noting that there was sort of a gap in the feedback that was received as far as the younger population, young adults and children, we developed a brief youth survey with just a few questions, and one of our committee members worked with the school district to get that to the schools, and we had a handful of responses from that. And then ongoing through the project website, there have been opportunities for people to get updates, see what's happening with the project, and also provide comments, just general comments, or ask questions, or sign up for email updates. At the last comprehensive plan committee meeting, we worked through all of the feedback from that community engagement that's been done so far, and talked about values and priorities based on what we all heard from the community, and worked on putting together ideas for a vision statement. So hoping to have a draft ready to share with the public and get feedback on in the next few weeks. So just some highlights from what came out of the community engagement. Definitely an interest in having more year-round economic activity. There are a lot of things that people leave Naples for that they'd like to be able to do, shops, restaurants, other things like that they'd like to be able to have access to within the town. As mentioned previously, more recreation programming and improved facilities, protection of the lakes and open spaces, investment in infrastructure. There were a lot of positive comments about recent improvements to the causeway, so continuing that. And then, as we saw, especially with the focus groups, we heard just there's a really strong sense of community and collaboration, and in some cases, very informal but very committed to supporting each other and partnering in different ways and very creative ways with community groups and businesses as well. Increasing cost of living is a concern for a lot of folks, as well as quality of life issues, things like healthcare, access to healthcare and childcare, access to different businesses, so people don't have to travel as far, housing affordability, walkability, public services, and recreation. So next steps, as I mentioned, we're hoping to have a draft vision statement that we can make public and get feedback on and update in July, and have that available for review and discussion through the summer. And then at the same time, we'll be starting to work with the committee and other subject matter experts to create an action plan. So really identifying what those policies and strategies should be to support the town's vision, and we'll be working with town staff and other boards and committees that may have an interest to really refine that. And part of that is also developing a future land use plan. So where and how much and growth should occur in the town. And then finally, developing a strategy to implement all of that over the next 10 or so years, and that's coming later this year. And this is a picture from one of our focus group meetings. You can see pretty great attendance there, and glad to have all those folks involved, and hopefully we can continue to have other community members involved in the process as we move forward in the summer.
It's all great information. I wrote down a question for myself, but she answered it after I wrote it down, so.
I just have one suggestion from a business owner's point of view. I thought the focus group was excellent, but I did feel that it was limited to the people who happened to have shown up, and there were some seasonal businesses that couldn't be here, or they just weren't able to attend, and I thought it could be helpful to send surveys to everybody that we have a record of having a business. And also, I think that might let everyone's voice being heard, as opposed to just a few table people, because I know what my table talked about happened to be very different than what other tables talked about, and it kind of became contagious. If one person brought up something, we'd all kind of jump on. So it's just a thought for everybody to be included.
That's a great suggestion. I think we'll look at other ways we can, because what we'll be looking to, the input that we'll be looking to get from folks later into the summer and in the fall will be a little bit different than what we were doing at the focus group, but I think there were still opportunities for people to provide their input, and we'll look at how we can reach out to those folks. I know Kathy did a lot of work to try to get a comprehensive list, but I know not everyone was available at that
Right.
time.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's relevant to add right now, but there was a good point brought up at the last meeting in regards to evaluating the recreation on the lakes and taking inventory of the boats, you know, how many local registrations there are with boats and how many boats are at each marina, and just kind of speculating what the direction of the traffic and the activity out on the lakes is going to be. And that's something that isn't really touched on too much in the comprehensive plan that we already have. But it was a good point that somebody brought up at that last meeting for us to try to at least recognize it and acknowledge it and note it in this process. And whether, it's hard to speculate any of that, what direction is it gonna go, and what is our concern with it? I mean, we all know what some of the simple questions, the rudimentary points are, but it was something that we kind of hadn't touched on much, really, until it was brought up there.
We had some information from marine safety, but I know that they didn't have great historical data available. So
Yeah,
if there are other sources of information that you can direct us to, I'm happy to look into that more. I think they're.
Yeah, I was with you guys on that there wasn't so much gathering history that we could, any data we could gather, as much as just know where we're at in 2025, and so when this comprehensive plan is done again in whatever, 25 years, they can say there was this many boats here at that time, and whatever, you know what I mean? Spending a lot of energy digging up what we have for records, it didn't seem like productive use of energy really to me, as much as just documenting where we're at.
But if you're talking about boat registrations, that information should be available easily, clerk's office or from the state website or something.
Yeah, it's in Trio,
Yeah.
so we could pull it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Is a copy of that report available?
Yes.
Okay.
I will have Kathy share that with you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Anything else for the comprehensive plan portion?
All right.
Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Carrie.
information, it was great. When is the next update coming to us?
Probably whatever.
I don't have anything scheduled. I think this was initially put on the calendar by the last town manager.
Yeah, it looks like he scheduled it for the end of phase 2, so I'm thinking our next update in this format would be at the end of phase 3. Is that what we're thinking, or?
It's probably a good time to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a bullet on the timeline.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want to keep giving updates, especially to the people that are listening at home. So can we plan on that?
Yep.
That'd be great. Thank you. Chad, anything else?
Thank you.
Randy? You good? Okay, well, Kevin?
No, this is other business. I didn't want you to slide into adjournment before I.
No, I got a comment before that too, so. All right, that's it for comprehensive plan. What do we got before we adjourn, Kevin?
There was my brother's garage, caught on fire the other day, and the response time was unbelievable. It was like minutes, they were there and they managed the incident really smooth, and I just wanted to send compliments out to them for that.
Kudos to the fire department for quick response.
Yeah,
Yep.
and everything. I mean, it wasn't a huge structure and it went fast, but it was just was expedited very well.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, we keep pushing the post office discussion. There was a long discussion a while back about booting them, booting them ultimately. And we haven't picked up the discussion after that about keeping them. I mean, I'm a believer that we should keep them, but we need to get the rent up to the fair market value. and make it worth the town's while to collect rent from them. It's convenient for the town to have the post office right beside the town office. Everything is, it seems like a perfect arrangement, really, for the community. So I don't support the last discussion we had a year or so ago when the lease was renewed, or when we just determined that our lease was out of balance. I think is what the big deal is that we're not getting paid very much money.
So we want to ask Randy to work on that post office.
Because what, we have a year still, a year and a half, 2 years?
I think it's 26,
So
if I remember correctly.
I don't know how far it made it up their chain
Yep.
either, from our discussion when the lease was renewed, but we
Yep.
want to make sure if they are considering regionalizing or something and shutting down, I mean, not that we would need more traffic in this parking area or anything, but if we can get the rent up to a decent amount, and if they want to regionalize, some other town wants to come here, I would support that too, really, to get the rent for the town to offset the cost of the property.
I was looking for the contract anyways, because we got a bill from them for roughly $500 to fix the signs, which is a little surprised we'd have any responsibility on the signs, so. Haven't found it yet, but I was looking for it.
Their signs, like the entryway signs here, the
This one
entry
here,
sign?
that
Yeah.
one over there, yeah. Yep.
That doesn't seem like the landlord's
No,
expense.
I wouldn't think it would be,
Like if you're running a business in somebody's house, you don't ask the
Yeah.
landlord to buy it.
but I wanted to read the contract, and then I thought, okay, we'll go talk to somebody about why they think it's our fault.
Well, I don't want to put too much on your plate either. I know you listed off quite a list at the beginning of your speech tonight, so if we could get an update by the August meeting, would that be good?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is that we find out that they started it up there, started running it up their flagpole
Yeah,
to make a move,
yeah,
and then we lose the rent when we could have doubled, tripled their rent or something, or who knows, whatever the going rate is right now.
yeah.
But is that the direction of the board then, is to, like you said, if you can get fair market value on the rent, then it's
Yeah.
to keep them?
Yeah.
Okay, probably need to tell them that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Because there was a serious opposition, and I don't know, and that was 2 town managers ago.
Want to make sure they feel a little love.
Yeah. But I think those were the only things I had.
Good. I just wanted to add that we will not meet before the 4th of July, so I want to tell everybody to have a happy and safe 4th of July. And we won't be back until July 14th. And now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?